Let's see Odegaard drop. Let's see if you trust your process.
Brandon, do you agree with that from an Arsenal point of view?
100%, Tel. I've posed this question before anyway. Is Raya actually an upgrade on Ramsdale? If he is, it's very, very minute. Yeah, because maybe you can argue that his distribution is slightly better than Ramsdale. But apart from that, I don't see any improvement. I agree 100% with Gunnar Solskjaer. 1,000,000%. And look, there's no excuses for today. No excuses whatsoever. Yeah, them lot should all be made to do community service tomorrow because of that absolute criminal performance. Shocking performance. Yeah, we was dominated in every single position of the pitch. The midfield, dominated. Yeah, defensively, very, very shaky. And our front three, shocking. And look, I've heard people talking about, Jorginho this, Jorginho that. And it's cool. And I understand it. I didn't want Jorginho to start today. I wanted Thomas Partey to start today. But apart from the Jorginho one, every other player in that team is our starting 11. So there's no excuses. Not one player, performed today. Everybody was shocking. Gabby Jesus had 27 touches all game. 27. Bukayo Saka couldn't get round Cucurella. Yeah, Martinelli struggled against Gusto. And the worst thing is we're in our fourth season of a 5-year project. Chelsea are going through a process and they're in their first season. And we should beat them. They're 10th. Yeah, until the Burnley game where they scored 5 goals, they couldn't score more than 1. And today they should have had 4 or 5. Absolutely dreadful performance from top to bottom. Yeah, top to bottom. And the manager has to take a lot of flack as well because, again, his in-game management, this is the one thing that I question with Mikel Arteta. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mikel Arteta is not a good manager. Very good coach. Yeah, very good coach. It's clear to see he's a very good coach because he gets the best out of players, at his disposal, or his players that he's brought in. Yeah. So, for example, Martin Odegaard, he's a much better player now than what he was at Real Madrid. Yeah. So he knows how to improve players. But in terms of being a manager is there to win your team points as well with his in-game management and his in-game decisions. And Arteta's in-game decisions at times are absolutely shocking. Whether that be personnel that he chooses to bring on, whether that be timing of substitutions. Yeah, shocking. Let me ask you this as well, right? Arteta made the decision to sign Kai Havertz. £65 million. The missing piece to the puzzle. The player that is going to, make sure that Arsenal compete again this season, right? So if that's the case, why wasn't he the first player to come off the bench today? Why did he wait so long to bring on Kai Havertz, to bring on Trossard, which, by the way, thank you, Trossard, because once again, you saved Arsenal today. Once again, you helped us get a point that we didn't deserve. And nobody should be surprised by this, right? Nobody should be surprised by this because we've only had a handful of good performances this season. For the majority of this season, we have been shit. Crap. And there's only so long that you can get away with poor performances, but keep getting results. And people will look at this as, oh, well, it doesn't matter because Arsenal will get in the results. Arsenal getting the results. When's the performances going to improve? This is our ninth game.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point being raised there. We're going to come to David and the Chelsea boys in a few moments. I want to get some more of these super chats done, just because you guys have put them in, and I appreciate it. If this was 4-0 to Chelsea, no one would say anything. Very good midfield play by Chelsea. I think it's a fair. I do think it's a fair point, especially after some of them as mistakes. Nobody would have questioned it. First time super chatter here, an Arsenal fan. It's well and good being confident about a match, but as fans, we have to keep some humility because anything can happen in this league. We move again. Come on, you gooners. That's from Generic African. Thank you very much for the super chat, my bro. We was the better team. I don't want to hear excuses. No one expected us to be 2-0. Palmer was the best player today. Yeah, Palmer was quality, Daniel. You're spot on, mate. Boys played well. Young team. Heads almost went. The people who wrote Chelsea off completely don't actually watch football. On the right path. Mondo says Arsenal were poor overall. Terry Saliba was not at his usual level. Raya did a couple of mistakes. Odegaard was poor. Rice was not at his usual level despite the goal. Lost a lot of momentum in the break. Listen, I think that's a very, very accurate super chat. Odegaard is being held up and cautious with the press with Jorginho in the midfield. Partey should have been on as he can progress the ball better. That's a great point. Bad performance, but still didn't lose. No reason to lose our minds. If we are shit and still get a point, that's better than playing well and losing, is what Remy says. I see you react there, Jason. What's wrong?
No, I mean,
you're on mute. There you go.
If they're like in terms of it's not better to be better than losing. You have to be happy being losing, but it's just ridiculous because we haven't had one standout game of the season. Like, what can I say? Now, obviously, we're talking about the controlled performance throughout the season. Like, we were talking about being controlling the games, but where was the standout performance today? We were absolutely poor. Like, it's kind of remind me of that Lens game as well in terms of playing sideways, backwards football as well. It's just absolutely can't.
Right, this is the problem, right? Arsenal have no plan B. We have plan A, and if that don't work, we're fucked, basically. Yeah?
Literally, I'm saying this, like Arteta is always, I feel like he never learns from his mistakes because in terms of in every game that I watched this season, always been reactive. When has he ever been proactive in every game that he played? That's what I'm saying. Like 75 minutes, he makes a sub. Like, why does he have to make a sub that late? Sub this late? It's just.
I fully agree with you, bro. But I'm just gonna say this. Overall, there's a lot of negatives to take from this game. Luckily, we didn't draw. We drew and we didn't lose the game. And from here on out, I need to see better.
No.
One second. We can't go back every 2 seconds. We need to go forward. So I'm going to go forward for a second. And I'm just going to say, we need to see better attacking performances going forward. Who's speaking? I'm
God. Yeah, go for
it. My bad, bro. Just let me just land this and then you can go. I'm personally just saying we need to see better offensive performances. We can give Chelsea credit for their defense. We had one of the worst halves of football I've seen us have in well over 2 years. And you got to give them their credit there defensively. Second half, we showed a little bit more light. Mikel Arteta has to do more with the substitutions. I fully agree with you. But overall, going forward, we need to improve our attack. We cannot be serious title contenders if we're not going to start scoring goals. Last year, we scored a lot of goals, and that's what got us this lead that we were so happy with. We're still undefeated, in London derbies. We're still undefeated this season in the league. There's some positives to take away, but overall, the performance was terrible. The result was not what we wanted, and we move. I'm not going to cry over it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, obviously, first half, I'm just going to say, fair play to Chelsea. Like, from the get-go, they pressed us well. Midfield battle, we absolutely dominated as well. Arteta got his lineup wrong. Should have played Partey instead. Tried to be clever and play Jorginho. And you know what? We got absolutely dominated. And fair play to Gusto and Cucurella. They played really well in the fullback.
Yeah.
There you go.
They certainly did. Cheers, Gal. David, like from your point of view as a Chelsea fan, how proud are you with the performance today? I know you let it go at the end, but overall, what did you make of the display?
I was just saying, I'm actually not too annoyed. Again, I'm not expecting much from this team at all. So to get a 2-2 draw against Arsenal, quite happy. It's not a drop in standards. It's just, it's what the situation we're currently in. So, you've got to adjust your standards slightly. But that doesn't mean I don't want this team to progress in the future. I thought we played very well. Kept Arsenal to minimal chances. And the only reason they got back in the game is because Sanchez decided to pass them the ball. That's the only reason they got back into the game. He just passed the ball and decided.
Minimal chances. David, we had our first shot on target in the
literally.
minute.
Literally, he just passed you the ball and was like, Rice, you fancy putting it in the other corner?
Well, it's like he saw Raya and went, I can top this, hold my beer.
Yeah,
it was
It wasn't great, but it is what it is. To be honest, right? I've heard all the Arsenal talk because for us, I mean, you know, it's even though it's 3 points dropped, it is technically a point game, so we take it. I'm actually looking at Arsenal thinking, is this really that much of a bad Arsenal performance? Because I feel like I've seen this performance quite a lot from Arsenal this year. I feel like this has happened more frequently than people give it credit for. And it's just instead of playing Chelsea, they played Bournemouth. They've got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just carried on and carried on. And you've come up against, I know we're not great, but we're not like a bad team. Like we really aren't a bad team. So it doesn't shock me that like when you started making loads of mistakes and not playing to the standard you should be, you didn't win. That doesn't shock me at all. So
the only thing that I'd say to that though, David, the one thing that I held on to as an Arsenal fan is, yeah, we haven't performed great at all most of the season. We've only had a handful of like good performances, like you say, Bournemouth, PSV. They're the only standout ones. The only thing that I was holding on to was the fact that Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli have only played 22 minutes of Premier League football together this season. So I thought, cool, they're all back fit, firing now. You got Odegaard behind, Rice and Partey in the middle. There's no reason why we shouldn't be comfortably beating Chelsea. And at the end of it, right, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, Pochettino set you up spot on. Like I said, Arsenal have a plan A, no plan B, and this is a big, big problem, right? Because teams now have the blueprint on how to beat Arsenal. 2 banks of 4 when you're defending, right? And then hit on the counter and try and dominate the midfield area. Because as soon as you stifle Arsenal in the midfield area, we offer nothing. And Agal, as he was going, said about we need to attack better. I don't remember our attackers actually getting the ball. Why? Because Chelsea dominated us in the midfield.
Yeah.
Well, this is the one thing I would say. Again, I don't want to. It's not. I'm not trying to prop Arsenal up. I'm sort of looking at it from a point of view of if Chelsea hadn't had the last 18 months they had, and you went away to Chelsea, and this was the result and the performance, I don't think anybody looks at it as a bad result. I think it's because. Do you understand where I get if you were away at West Ham, away at Sheffield United, away at I don't bloody know Bournemouth, and this happens, you get it. This is still Chelsea. This is still a team that has invested £1 billion into its squad. I understand where you're coming from, but I also think that Chelsea were very, very good.
We're not as bad as people think we are. We're just not. We aren't. And you know what? Me as a numbers person, when you take a deep dive into our numbers, we are actually quite a good team. We've just been quite unfortunate that our players just decide to not put the ball in the back of the net.
My challenge for these players, though, my challenge for these players, go do that next week against Brentford.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What's it? Before I go, because I need to. I'm going to watch the UFC. I know Terry's watching it right now. I can't.
I've got it recorded. I've got it recording. So
all I'm gonna say is, I said last year, a certain Kai Havertz is Gabby Jesus Gabby Jesus is Kai Havertz with a bit of seasoning, and it still stands to this day. And I'm off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I'm going to do super chats here because there's quite a lot.